It's another world debut from Kia, an India-specific model that is making huge waves. It was one that was really anticipated, the Syros. Let's talk about it with Hardeep Brar, who's joining us right now. It's good to see you.
Thank you, Siddharth, for being here.
Big day. I mean, we are used to that from Kia in a way. And as I said, having world debuts in India has now become kind of commonplace thanks to you guys. So congrats.
Thank you.
The car. Tell us everything about it. I mean, the first obvious question is why have a second subcompact SUV? You've got the Sonnet.
Yeah.
How do you plan the strategy of two cars in the same space?
Yeah. So if you see, this design is very different from how the Seltos and Sonnet look like. For that matter, how this segment looks like, right? We wanted to, and why we firstly got into this segment is because both low and mid SUV put together, this year it will close at about 1.4 million cars out of 4.2 million total industry, which is about 33% of the market, right? So we wanted something which has the size of a compact SUV, but has features which belong to the next segment. So I think that's where and since this market, this year, the compact SUV is growing at 17%, the mid is growing at 12%, where the industry growth rate is less than 5%. So this is not happening for the first year, it has been happening for last many years, and I think this is where the future is, and hence this car.
I know you said that it's the 6-speed manual that comes on the turbo petrol and not the IMT, but otherwise, the engine lineup, it's the familiar one from Kia.
That's right.
The other obvious question, how do you counter the fact that should this have been an EV and not the same two engines?
Yeah, of course. We are looking at EV in this case as well, and it will come in future. How soon? We will share that later on, but that will come.
This platform, guys, watch out for it. I know he's not going to say it. All right. The other obvious thing is about when you say that it's the fastest growing segment, it's a space where the consumers are really sort of interested and with good reason. The attribute of the car, design is one major differentiator. What's the other one?
So if you see the features of this car, they belong to the next segment. The 17 inches alloys they belong to mid SUV. The panoramic sunroof belongs to the mid SUV. The leg room, headroom, shoulder room, the boot space belongs to the next SUV. The 30-inch panoramic display belongs to the next, or maybe higher than that. And the over-the-air updates, it actually belongs to the luxury segment. So we'll have 22 controllers getting over-the-air update as and when we really update them. So everything practically, except for the sub 4 meter length, I think nothing belongs to this segment, it belongs to the next segment.
Baby EV9, I mean, it looks like one also.
Yes, and this is inspired by EV9 and Carnival. This comes from that new design language.
Absolutely, the digital face and of course the star map LEDs. Now, you talked about some of those features. There's ventilated seats in the rear seats recline, there's terrific amount of leg room, 30-inch display in the front. Now it's finally come to India, the sort of in this segment or in this mass space where you've got that connected big screen. How does that impact the Sonnet?
As I mentioned, this will not be anywhere closer to Sonnet. I would say this would be more closer to the Seltos because of the number of features that we are giving, the space it has, and things like over-the-air updates. I think that makes it slightly closer to Seltos rather than closer.
You mean closer in terms of pricing positioning as well?
Yeah, pricing, positioning, because when you have the features which belong to the next band, it naturally pulls you up. And also, we don't have a 1.2 liter NA engine in this. This starts with a turbo engine, so everything becomes So this is a premium compact SUV, so to say.
So how does it affect the Seltos? I mean, cannibalization is always natural, but you see why I'm asking.
So, the reason why I feel the cannibalization will not happen, it is because of the design language. As I said, both of them are very, very distinct than the existing two designs that we have. So, of course, when somebody walks in, some people will like it, but it's not going to be earth-shattering that we should be worried about Sonnet and Seltos.
Now, you've given me an indication of the positioning and the pricing. Actual prices, of course, in February is what I'm told, so we'll wait for that. But how do you see the market or the segment reacting? Because, I'll tell you why I'm asking this. When the Sonnet launched, it was also seen as very premium, almost like pushing the boundary on price and positioning. A lot of your naysayers and rivals said, it's not going to work because people are so price conscious. And we saw what happened. I mean, it expanded the market. It was a massive success and it continues to be one. So again, now that you're pushing that boundary up a little bit higher, let's say, what is your expectation for the segment?
See, I feel there are customers who are looking at space. One set of customer I can tell you, look at metros. People who live in independent houses, and you can see when you go to, let's say, South Delhi, right? Probably where you stay, closer to that. People are parking on the roads, or they have a very limited parking space. And the first thing when they have to buy a new car, they bring a test drive car, park into their space to see whether it fits in or not.
Yes.
But when they buy a small car, they feel, oh shit, there is no space inside. I think that is one.
Or it's compromised on features.
It's compromised on features. But this is something that will fit into your parking space, but inside it'll give you a feeling of something which is the next segment. So I think this is one segment. Of course, there are people who are looking at more space there and functionality, so to say, and I think that it will fit in very well. There are people who want compact, but everything should be loaded.
You use the word space many times, and it suddenly triggered something for me. All the teasers for this car had outer space. So now we're talking about the inner space.
That's right.
Tech plays such a huge role these days. You talked about the screen, but it's also everything inside that screen. There's also ADAS. There's also the connected car features. There's also smartphone wireless connectivity. What are your dealers saying now? It's been a few years. We've seen so many of these things create so much of a buzz, but do people actually look for those features? Are they coming and asking for that?
Absolutely. I think if you don't have features in
this segment.
Yeah, absolutely. Even in this segment, I think SUV segment, people want more features. And you spoke about price consciousness. I think it is more of value consciousness. And that too to the level where they say, give me more features at a higher price. If you are missing out on certain feature, they skip that car. That's the level to which consumers have gone. And which is why you have to be cognizant of the fact that you can't afford to miss the features which are very, very critical for that.
Panoramic roof, ventilated seats in the rear.
Absolutely.
I mean, you've got a lot of people's
17 inches
attention.
alloy wheels. Yeah, that's right.
Yes, for sure. Last thing. Overall, this has been a year where people have talked about a lot of pressure, and there have been certain pressures, of course, on the market. What's the portfolio looking like for you as you go into the Auto Expo and the new year?
Portfolio in terms of
just the overall. I mean, you've got two really high-end products in a few months earlier as well. So, in terms of Kia India, its overall performance, how's this year been? How did you handle that pressure, and what do you see for the new year?
See, this year was tougher because of, I think the government investments dried out because of the elections. It took time for them to come back. The investments have started coming in now, and which is why the pressure was there. I think the consumer consumption was pretty much on track, and I think there's a bit of a dent because of the IT layoffs. Now, with the next year, the government investments have started coming in, and I think next year it's going to be huge. IT layoffs have settled now, and I think they are coming back to recruitment. If the rate cut happens, I think that will be phenomenal. But with the current inflation rates, it looks like a distant dream, I would say. But I think with these two factors falling in place, and of course, one big factor are the monsoons. And if that happens well, I think we are good to go. And I clearly see 5% plus growth rate for the next year.
You're going to start 25 with the brand new car coming to the market. Will we have more new action from you next year?
No, I think this is the last action and good to go, and we are targeting 300,000 next year.
That's a big target. So surprises, I'm sure we'll have some surprises from you at the Auto Expo as well. Look forward to that.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you so much.
And to you and your team.
Thank you.